Got any creepy woods ghost stories? This is mine. Be me. 15-year Boy Scout on a camping trip. Some old dude's property he lets the troop camp on. Arrive and check out the place. Big swamp, low water level, smells disgusting because of rotting vegetation. Set up camp, it's dark when we're done. In tent with 2 other boys. Fall asleep. Wake up. It's dark. No idea what time it is. BC, no phones allowed and I have no watch. Hear weird animal noises outside. Scratching, whining, creepy shit. Try to quietly wake up other guys but they're fast asleep. Lay in bed unable to sleep for what seems like hours until sounds go away. Finally fall asleep. Morning. Crudely fashioned cross is hanging from a lone tree next to the swamp. WTF.jpg. I don't really believe in ghosts but this makes me want to.
Post your unexplainable forest experiences. Be hiking small 600 cliff for sunset miles away from any houses with friends. At the peak looking out and hear a barely noticeable humming. Think nothing of it and hike back down before dark. At base of cliff by creek when humming sound comes back. Through the trees we see a bluish-white light which seems to be moving, warping the tree's shadows on the water beneath it. All of a sudden the light floats down to about a foot over the creek. Looks like a small grapefruit-sized ball. Moves fast towards then by us, following the creek and out of our sight. Was really captivating at the time and I think it's a will-o'-the-wisp type experience caused by the area's rock composition. It was a clear summer evening which led me to rule out ball lightning.
Be in woods. Hear noise. It's a very wet slurping sound. It's up sucking dick.
I'll go ahead and cross-post my thing from the Weird Memories thread in here since it's topical. I have incredibly lucid memories of seeing a tree stand up and turn around when I was a kid riding my bike down a trail in the woods in rural central Illinois. It didn't look like any of the other trees at all, it didn't have leaves, and it really didn't even have limbs either. I mean, really looking back on it, the only thing that really even made it look like a tree at all was the pose it was in and the skin definitely being a grayish bark. It didn't seem to see me or anything and it moved super slow. It was almost like it was kneeling and then stood up proper to just turn a little bit and then squat back down, but that was enough for like 10-year-old me to fuck off back to the barn and never go back down that trail again since.
Gather around fags, this one's real. When I was a kid, maybe like 13, I rode out on a trail on my bike with my little brother. He was like 10. Anyway, we are riding around not too far from the house but it's trails we've never taken before. So we are riding trying to find a way out. By now it's getting dark but we don't know where the trail ends. We finally come out to a clearing and that's when shit hits the fan. In front of us is a shed. A huge shed with at least a dozen carcasses hung up. Some had been rotten and falling apart. Others looked like fresh kills. All cows. No flies. It was crazy and unsettling. We take off as quickly as we can and come out way down the road. The next day, we go back to look for it again. We took the same trails and came out at the same place on the same road. Nothing was there. This continues, so prepare your fucking assholes. Fast forward about a decade later. Me and a couple friends getting stoned at my parents' house. Tell them the story and they want to go find the shed. Well, alright. It's not like we are doing anything else. So, I can't quite remember the way. I've traveled a lot of the woods behind the house but can't recall the way. I remember the trail that comes out to the main road so we go that way. We walk for a while, don't see the shed but come across another clearing. This one is a bit overgrown with grass but instead of a shed it's a old pickup truck from the 40s parked in front of an old trailer. It looked old as hell and there was no way someone lived there so we decide to go in. Abandoned trailers in the woods aren't in. But most of the time they have been reclaimed by nature. This one wasn't. Inside, there is shit everywhere. Old pictures and newspapers and kids' toys. Even school books. Lots of school books. All items dated at the oldest to the 50s. As I'm looking around I hear, "Anon, check this out." This still continues. I go to the back door and my friend's pointing to 2 more trailers that sat behind the first. Hell yes. The trailers are connected by one big-ass shed. There are glass bottles everywhere, a lot filled with some sort of liquid. Getting to looking at it, definitely an old moonshine still. We go to trailer on the right first. Defiantly a moonshine still. See some of the equipment but there was broken glass everywhere. It occurs to me only then that the first trailer and the second had been abandoned in a hurry. Why would people just leave pictures and shit? In the ceiling of the kitchen is a little square hole with a little door hanging open. Go up using the little ladder. Get up there, old assault rifle and tons of fucking shells. Oh damn. Decide I've got to see what is in the next trailer. Was not prepared for what I saw. Inside, shit scattered everywhere. Glass broken, pictures fucked up and scattered. Start finding personal items. One is a receipt book with receipts dating back to the 60s at the latest. Each receipt was from a guy named Couples. Every single ticket contained an amount over 800 and each paid to the local school. Each about every week or so. There was a log but all pages were missing. Found a ton of children's books from back in the day. The names stamped on them corresponded with a local rival school. I hear someone call me from the back of the trailer. I go back there and saw one of my friends completely pale. Look. The entire room is covered with news clippings and documentation about 500 people being marooned after a bad flood in the 30s. It happened in the area. The article said authorities tried to come get them but couldn't find anyone. So they had called off the search. I'm reading the clippings attached to the mirror and see the closet door open. I see something odd but my eyesight is shit so I just go over there. It was a belt hanging from the top bar. And there were bones all at the bottom. Even a skull with some long hair still attached. Oh fuck, I'm getting out of here. I start to call my friends over and tell them to come see and I'm done. Before I tell them, I hear screaming from the room beside me. I got to the room and there are more skeletons. All huddled up to the closet. All small, the size of 10-year-olds. Looked like they were holding each other. I left because I was done. Friends followed. We are freaking out at this point so I call the cops. The rural ass sheriff takes for fucking ever to get there. I explain it to him. Tell him everything. Tell him I am freaked the fuck out will not go back. He said it's fine. He'll go back there. He talks at his car a little bit on the walkie-talkie thing then says he'll get back up then go out there. He drives off. I never heard shit about it ever again. When I ask older people about the Maroon 500 no one wants to talk about it. They get uncomfortable and change the subject. My family isn't from the area originally so we didn't know the story. At one point, someone told me, don't talk about it so I know something happened. After that, I just ignored it. But I will never forget those kids in the closet.
I went solo camping in FL at Pick-related, the St. Sebastian River Preserve. I briefly lived in Florida for about 4 months and I had a lot of time on my hands since I didn't have a job, so I spent a lot of my time hiking here. The one time I went camping, I was at the Northeast Preserve Yellow Trail Campground. The hike from parking wasn't too far, only about 2 miles. The weather was cloudy but there was no humidity as I was camping in January. When I arrived, I set up my campsite and as soon as I finished, it started to pour. It was shitty luck because the weather had been nice until that point. It rained for about 3 hours non-stop and I had nothing better to do except read and drink whiskey. Before the sun set, I was able to make some food and eat. Nothing at this point was out of the ordinary until I had drank about 6 shots and I was starting to feel pretty good. The weather took a turn for the worse and started raining again with thunder and lightning. I started hearing footsteps and the brush move around the campground. My tent had a tarp on it but at the bottom had vents that you could see through. I swear that when lightning lit up the area, I saw someone moving through the bushes. I decided to grab my sidearm and keep it loaded next to me, in case whatever it was got any ideas.
I heard brush moving all night and didn't sleep at all, but didn't see anything. I'd say it was about 2 a.m. when I started dozing off. I was awakened a few moments later by an awful smell and movement outside my tent. I grabbed my gun and flashed my light directly in front of my tent when something darted directly behind the tent. I fired a shot into the air and the silence afterwards was frightening. I stayed up the rest of the night but didn't see or hear anything else. As soon as the sun came up, I packed all my gear even though it was still raining. I hurried back to my car and drove the fuck out of there. I never went back after that.
Live in southern New England. Decide to visit Bridgewater Triangle, look it up, ultimate vortex of paranormal for the region. Large area so narrow exploration down to the infamous ice house. Hookers legit sacrificed in satanic ritual, killer was on trial and jailed. Friends are too scared so being edgy and I am determined to comp there alone on LSD. Get there, hike around woods until sunset looking for it. Eerily quiet, no birds or anything making sounds. Tripped hundreds of times so relatively grounded still in reality with psychedelic flourishes as I navigate the forest. About 11 p.m. bushwhacking as I follow the GPS coordinates a random dude gave me online which are supposedly to location. As I try to find the place I keep hearing some sort of loud squealing that was in no way made by a living creature. No light except moon but I would see flashes in the distance now and then. Not scared but very alert as I wander through thickets which eventually open to a large clearing. Structure reappears drenched in moonlight.jpg. It's maybe 60 yards from me, I can see a dim light flickering inside while the surroundings are barely visible in the quarter moon. Quietly sneak up around back and edge close to broken window to hear anything inside the maybe 20*x40 structure. Realize I'm tripping pretty hard and probably can't react fast enough if someone inside wants to harm me. Fuck it. Peek up over the edge of the window to see what's emitting light, who is inside. Huge burst of light and crackle flies out of the window and scares the fucking shit out of me. I let out some type of vocalization unconsciously in reaction. Someone inside yells out who the fuck is out there? I say me. Slowly peer into the window. It's 5 dudes inside smoking weed and they were lighting off Roman candles. Go inside and hang out for the remainder of the night telling spooky stories and we all get high until dawn then we part ways. No true paranormal activity but I got spooked at the time.
Be me. Hiking at 9 p.m. at Griffith Park. Going back down path by Greek Theater. A fucking guy is literally laying on the floor in the path. This fucker jumps up and suddenly floats off. I ran back down fast. I haven't been gone hiking there at night ever since.
In a woods with a couple brothers cleaning guns and cooking chicken. Everyone hears rustling beyond the tree line. Sounds like animals fighting. Shrug it off and eat that barbecue chicken. Assembling guns and hear rustling and screeching. Getting louder, sounds like it's right on top of our location. Lock in mags and secure campsite. Whatever it is we are going to shoot it. Step into tree line. Evening so it's getting dark fast. See large shadowy figure off in the woods. Thick woods with brush so I tell guys to hold here instead of all of us getting bogged down in there. Go in closer to investigate. Upon closer inspection the large shadowy figure seems to be a moose or horse standing up on its hind legs. Starts screeching as I get closer. Sounds like it's killing people. Oh shit, notice 2 or 3 human figures under it. Screeching and cries of pain begin getting more steady and intense. I am shitting myself at this point. Look back and still have visual on brothers at the tree line. Say fuck it and creep in closer, rifle at low ready. Get right up to a small trailhead where all this is going on and point rifle at beast. Flick on weapon light at last second ready to take the shot. Cannot believe my eyes. 3 Mexicans taking turns fucking a strung up donkey.
Go hiking. Walk along a very long river. Path starts to go into the forest. away from river. Wanted to take some good photographs of the water. See a little path, not even a hiking trail, going along the water. Decide to take it, see where it leads. Walk along for about an hour, take pictures. Suddenly foot gets stuck. Look down, see some broken off branches, kick them aside with my hands. Something catches my attention. Thought it was trash for a second. Plastic bags tied to roots underneath the branches and dirt. Pills inside the bags. Fucked in of bags like this. Found some fucking drug storage. What if someone comes? No. Pack away my camera. Check if I have my knife. Ran the fuck back. Never visited that place again. Not that spooky I guess, but it's something.
Be in a woods with buddies. It's nig, can't see nothing. Campfire, getting comfy. Suddenly, we hear a noise. We turn heads to see. Johan gets scared. All turn on flashlights and split up to see what it can be. I walk about 20 meters from camp when I hear steps. I stop, but steps not. I feel thing come closer than well be me but it's not if bear. See glowing eyes behind that tree. Suddenly skeleton appear. I shot but no use because titanium skeleton. Suddenly he points at me and shoots bats from his chest. Get covered in bats and try to shoot but cannot because of bats and barrel blocking the bullet. Suddenly they all disappear. I go back to camp, but then run to car. Friends shot themselves because of they see the thing I see and were too scared but I am brave. Drive car home and never spoke about that ever again.
Not quite in a woods, but close enough. My grandpa and I used to deliver phone books to the backwoods of North Carolina. Towards the end of a route we ended up on a pretty remote road. The canopy was so thick that my grandpa had to turn on our headlights to see. You can chalk this up to his shit vision. Either way it got dark enough for me and him to be fully fucking spooked. Right as the unnatural darkness was really getting to us, we pulled up to the creepiest place I've ever fucking seen. First off, the place had a junk wall surrounding the whole property. Rusted 1950s era cars were stacked up around 5-6 feet high, and if that wasn't creepy enough there were piles of rusted bikes just thrown around the yard. The actual house wasn't much better. It basically looked like the house from Courage the Cowardly Dog, only with dark windows and a fuck ton of bird chimes hanging from the gutter. Basically it was your average cousin fucking redneck house only with a serial killer, cannibal twist. As you can guess I did not want to walk up to the porch and deliver a fucking phone book. I want up to be eaten by some fat hick fuck. I didn't really give a care at that point, so I just chucked the book at the door, and my grandpa fucking peeled out as fast as he could. Now as we were fucking off, we saw a dead raccoon in the middle of the driveway. It wasn't roadkill, it wasn't flattened or even injured, and there weren't any cars around. Sure, maybe we missed it coming in, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. It was just too fucking visible. There's no way we missed this shit. Neither one of us wanted to say it, but we both thought someone placed the poor little shit. We left in a hurry, and it's safe to say that we don't deliver fucking phone books anymore. So again, not really in a woods and not really even paranormal, but it was spooky and I felt like sharing.
This literally just happened not even a good half hour ago. Get home after a long day of work. Hear a very weird cry/call/noise that keeps repeating itself. Think nothing of it, so I let the dogs out and I go out with them to watch them. Hear the noise again, sounded closer and both my dogs started flipping the fuck out. Barking, running around, acting like they are protecting me. I get a little concerned thinking that it may be a hurt animal, soft for those. Let the animals back inside, grab a flashlight but didn't grab my handgun, for some reason. Spend a good 10 minutes listening for the sound and finding its origin. Walk a good half mile and decide to give up. Hear the sound again loud right behind me. 180 as fast as possible to see what it is. Nothing is there, and the sound repeated as if it was closer than earlier but farther than just was. Play it off as I am going insane and continue heading back till suddenly. Noise again like it's behind my neck. Immediately jump forwards while turning. Nothing again. Nope. JPEG. Full sprint back to home and lock everything.
I almost got murdered by Ensign Chekhov this weekend because I said I wouldn't worry about them in reference to coyotes. Be back in CA, visiting family and getting paperwork to sort out an argument with OSP and get a rifle out of purgatory, to go innawoodsing in the glorious Sierra Nevada mountain range. Wander off into a locals only spot south of Shaver Lake. Bring my R because there's been a bear being an asshole and scaring people off for their food. Raining all day. Make it up to a ring of old oaks to stop for the night and camp. A couple of foreigners are out here too. The guys sound like Chekhov from DOS. Ask if I can join their fire, collect a bit more fuel, and fix it up with shit I learned in Boy Scouts. Was smoking and sputtering from the rain and probably was going to die soon if I hadn't intervened. Coyotes, being coyotes, decide to make noise off in the woods. Foreigners, tense up. I being inexperienced local tell them calm down, it's just coyotes, I wouldn't worry about them. Was going to continue about how the bigger problem is bears, but a slide racking distracts me. I look up to find a goddamn handgun pointed at my face. I flail and fell backwards off the log I was on. The next thing I really know, my ears are ringing and I'm about 40 feet away running through the woods yelling "Fuck you, you fucking fucks, die in a fire" or something like that. Don't really remember what I was yelling. Realize I forgot my pack. Fuck it, don't care, canvas ruck and only had spare pants, shirt ... and my keys. Well ... fuck. Circle back along a fallen tree. Chekhov and Chekhov Light are yelling obscenities into the darkness standing by the fire. Chekhov starts down the trail, Chekhov Light goes and sits by the fire. Coyotes keep making noises off a ways away. Chekhov Light is now brandishing a knife and jumping at every noise. The fire pops and he bolts down the trail after Chekhov. Can hear Chekhov Light moving loudly down the trail calling for his friend, definitely out of sight though. Rifle out, and mag in. Don't really remember when I had shouldered it, but this is the point where I distinctly remember having it shouldered and ready to fire. I pick my way into the camp and grab my pack and nope my way out of there. Hide against a tree as Chekhov and Chekhov Light make their way back to the camp. Nope all the way back to the trailhead in my truck and leave. Check my mags, apparently fired off 4 rounds during the bit I don't remember. So which of you did I get into a gunfight with in California last night?
Be me, 18 and dumb, first semester in college. Like to take walks late at night. People tell me about an abandoned mental hospital that the train tracks go past. Decide to have a look. Walking along railroad tracks, it's dark. I don't even have a flashlight. I was dumb. Come to a bridge over a ravine. Thinking about whether to cross it. Feel some sort of presence on the other side of the bridge. Realize that there are 2 faint lights on the other side. They're red, same height and distance and size as a human's eyes. Nope, on out of there.
After quite a long day at work, I finally got home at around 11 p.m. I get into my bedroom and feel an odor around me, but I'm tired so I don't really care at that point. I took my socks off, and my shoes, and eventually my shirt and pants too, as I sleep in my boxers. I then lay in my bed and try to get some shut-eye. I then wake up around 1:30 a.m., alarm clock next to me, to the sound of glass breaking. I then feel a very real fear come over my whole entire body. Engulfed by fear, I am not able to move. I opened my eyes as I heard footsteps. But not just one person's footsteps. Whatever it was, it sounded like it had many legs, or there were more of them, whatever they were. By this time, I'm practically shitting myself. I can hear my door slowly creak open, and by this time my eyes are barely open, so it looks like I'm sleeping. My heart is beating incredibly fast, almost as if you can hear it. That's when they came in. They looked tall and big, and by big I mean lean. They were unnaturally tall, not like the average white male. I could barely make out the figures I saw, but at this point I wasn't thinking about anything but death. That's when it happened. The biggest and tallest one out of the group slowly walks up to my bed. I start shuddering ever so slightly. It's not noticeable to them. The thing then gets right next to me, bends down and whispers, "I know you're awake, you fucking cracker." All of a sudden, the lights are turned on and these shadowy figures all have their clothes on, with the rippling, glistening, waxed muscles showing in the shimmering light. Their vascular black, shadowy cocks turn as hard as a calculus equation. "Let's rape this little tiny ass nigga," one of them shouts at the top of their lungs. The biggest shadow figure checks under the covers and sees that I'm only wearing underwear. He takes them off slowly and gently, and the blankets are now off the bed, which shows my heart, throbbing 1.7 incher.
You had me going there for a while.
Be me at 16 riding bike from friend's house at night. Have to cross spooky railroad tracks. Before crossing them see tall shadow person like the one in Opspic but taller with what looked like trench coat and hat. Man up and just cross it anyways. He disappears as I get near him. Few creepy but he's gone. Keep riding, then really loud classical music starts to play. Sounds like a really big wedding or funeral creepy music. Freak the fuck out and start hauling ass because there's no houses by just the dark empty field and some woods. 1 mile later made it to main road and music finally stops playing. I did not sleep at all that night. Shit still haunts me to this day. Also I noticed these figures have been following me most my life and just recently stopped showing up.
Not really in the woods, because it was in my front yard. But I saw a UFO and I need to tell someone. Last night around 10:40. Live in rural area. See 3 orange lights slowly moving across the sky. Moving in a straight line. No sound. They started to go out. One by one. In the same spot.
B13. B playing in woods with friends behind his house. Not even that dense highway 500 feet south and his neighborhood on the north side. Exploring though anyway because it's fun? Then it starts to stink. See clearing and stink gets worse. See a clearing up ahead. In clearing we see 7 or 8 dead animals. Raccoons, small neighborhood dogs and cats. A posse I think. We're shocked of course but we were 13 and curious so we pull our shirts over our nose and have a closer look. Notice stab wounds, cracked necks, none of them were eaten by animals. Friend gets too uncomfortable and we nope back to his house for juice boxes. We still talk about it all the time. Like too much in my opinion. We throw around ideas like it may have been this person because he was a bit off. Sorry for it not being paranormal but that shit was fucked for a 13-year-old to see.
Do the opposite? What, you want that poor anon to die? It's imperative to keep all food and cooking items in your tent because the human smell overpowers the food smells and drives off pest animals. Menstruation causes women to emit hormones which are associated with infertility. When a woman has her period she is shedding the lining of her uterus and her body is resetting itself to try again for a kid later. An animal that wants to make will avoid those hormones because they signal that a female is not ready to mate. Camo is a good choice for the outdoors. The better you blend in, the more in sync you feel with Mother Nature. You also don't disturb others by standing out too much. I can't tell you how many camping trips I've been on that were ruined by fags walking around camp and in the woods with bright orange jackets and pants. It's really annoying. Op should also make sure he is wet before lying down for bed. In the summer, heat stroke and heat exhaustion can creep up on you at a moment's notice. If you go to sleep wet, it's easy for your body to regulate its temperature. Modern sleeping bags are designed for this, and dry easily during the day. Remember to never change socks, or to even take your socks off. When you remove your socks, you are exposing them to an unsanitary environment, and this can cause blisters or cuts to get infected very easily. On the flip side, wearing the same socks is ideal for blisters and cuts, because your body knows to pump out special microbes in those areas when it knows it is in the woods. Your body will heal itself more rapidly and more safely if you leave a single pair of socks on the whole trip. Finally, if you're way out in the woods and need to poop, feel free to go right on the trail. It's common courtesy to leave poop on the trails because it scares away predatory animals. Also, it lets other hikers and campers know that you're in the area.
Attention! Do not do anything from last post, as it was pretty clearly satire. I am saying this because I don't want someone suing me because they never changed socks and now have trench foot.
In the woods with my hobbies. Got my Glock 40. Homie Kendra got a Tech 9. We just trying to get some green from this honky who grows it out here. Gonna sell it to make some real green. Here's some rustling. Shit nigga, is that the popo? Tall ass honky come running out the trees. Me and homie drave on run like we Jew stole a TV. Kendrick show at my house a week later. Nigga eats steaks rare now like a honky. Shit nigga, that hit ain't even cooked. Shit, something wrong with that nigga.
Bruh, I see the same thing all the time. My group of friends see it so frequently it has become a component of our friend group, like we'll be out by a lake or in a woods and someone will mention, "Oh look, our buddy came to hang out." It's typically like one bright orange light with several smaller running lights around it in a structure. It has a tendency to circle around areas but makes a lot of erratic movements and generally does not behave like any kind of plane or rotary aircraft. It's also dead silent. I've seen it year-round as late as like 4 to 5 a.m. in a multitude of locations around my county. One of the more intense events involving this UFO was during the summer of 2011. I was sitting out back of my friend's house with a couple buddies, having a cigarette and just shooting the shit. It was maybe 9 or 10 p.m., hot summer night, overlooking the acres of fields behind my friend's house. We see the telltale orange glow of our buddy appear over a tree line about 400 meters from the back of the house, on the other side of the fields, but this time it seems to be moving much more aggressively, and the light appears brighter. We soon realize this is because it is much lower to the ground than on previous sightings, and is moving precisely in our direction. Now the weird thing about this object is we've never been able to accurately assess its size, or the altitude it cruises at, but we've estimated it can't be more than a click up. But this time, it seemed like it was within a couple hundred meters of the ground, maybe even closer. Like always, it was dead silent. Someone pointed out it was coming towards us, and my friend who lived there noped the fuck out and ran inside, leaving me and one of my buddies standing, dumbstruck, slowly backstepping towards the house. As it got maybe halfway between the tree line and where we were, the main orange light switched off. This is the best glimpse we had of the details of the craft, where we saw about 3 running lights, dim but visible, dotting the craft in a polygonal formation. At this point I'm getting legitimately scared, and I take a quick look at my watch, noting the time out loud to my friend. Read too many abduction stories about people losing hours of time. We track this thing for another 5-10 seconds as it moves steadily towards us, smooth as butter, no sound, just 3 little lights. At this point it's probably at a 45-degree angle from us, and approaching where it could be directly overhead, and just as abruptly as the orange light went out, the running lights switched off too. Now when I say this thing disappeared, I mean it was completely gone. Just before it was difficult to make out any kind of shape at all, more so just attempting to fill in lines between the lights, but it was utterly gone. My friend and I turned, and without a word, ran as fast as we could into the house, meeting with our other friend. We checked our watches throughout the night and nothing else happened, but that will always stick with me. Some of us have moved or gone elsewhere to work since that summer, but we all still see the thing occasionally around town when we're back home to visit. I live in rural Southeast CT.
TFW, you want the skinwalker to follow you home. TFW, you'll turn to them as you pull the car into the driveway and smile. TFW, you will say, man, those woods sure were creepy and on. And they'll agree in a really weird way because they're wearing your friend's skin. TFW, both walk inside, the locks on the doors thunking solidly behind you as you locked in together. TFW, you say, but you know what doesn't make sense, anon? Skinwalkers pick people off because we go deep into the woods, all alone. Why would they follow us back to a city, where they can't hide, where they are surrounded by people? TFW, the skinwalker walks into the next room with you and sees everyone there waiting, wearing chainmail and carrying knives. TFW, they hear you say, you should have stayed in the woods. Now you get to see what real savagery is like. As you stab them with a cattle prod. What I'm saying is, we need a humanity, fuck yeah. Thread.
Not gang raping the skinwalker in shifts.
TFW, friend is just tired and next thing you know, 15 people are standing trial for premeditated murder.
Got some OC. It's not too scary but it's something. Also I pre-typed it so none of that cunt shit. February of this year. Friends and I decide to do a later afternoon hike. There's trails behind my house. Not the biggest forest in the world but decent size. Friends and I set out at I believe 4 p.m. We walk over to the park next to my house. I've lived here 18 years, I know this place like the back of my hand. Lead the group. We walk around talking, doing nothing. We reach this big swage plant looking building. I've never gone past it in the 18 years I've lived here. Didn't think there were any trails. Friend points out a trail hidden behind some rocks I never noticed before. Decide to go that way. Nothing spooky yet, just birds. Friends and I find this giant pride rock looking thing. Friend climbs it, takes pictures like the ballsy bastard he is. Shows them to us. Keep walking. Literally no one around but us. Not like that isn't normal, it's not a popular place. To skip the boring shit we walked through a tall grass field, climbed a hill, and reached a fence that marked someone's farmland or some shit. Start heading back. Decided to go the other route by taking the bridge across a stream. We're about a mile and a half in. Looking at the houses bordering the trails on the hill. Friend and I spot this weird rock formation. Friend decides to go over there. He stops. Tells us with hand motions to stop moving too. Then I hear it. Deep breathing. Like some big thing is sleeping. Friend walks over to the rock formation. There's a large hole on one side, 12 feet long, about 4 feet wide and 6 feet tall. Friend peeks in through a crack. Jumps back. Tells us we gotta run. I know better than to not follow advice. I've seen enough horror movies. Sprint with them. Hear literally nothing behind us. Not even birds. We reach a safer area filled with people. Not exactly the entrance to the trails but where people usually hang out. We stop to breath. Ask my friend what he saw. He said it was really dark but whatever it was huge. Took up the entire floor. When he peeked through it, jerked up. Saw yellow eyes and brown hair. Haven't been in those trails since. I know it's not that scary but shit man. I watch too many horror movies to not know when I shouldn't be somewhere.
Here's a good story that will scare the shit out of parents. Be me. Be around 10 or 11 years old. Got some shitty paper route tier job where I go around getting people to sign up for paper routes. Get picked up by the paper route lady with a few other people. Parents were okay with this. She drives us all out to a city that's 30 minutes from my house. Starts dropping us off in different sections of the neighborhood. It's a pretty quiet neighborhood but still fairly populated. This all happens at around 7 p.m, I remember it was dark out. Managed to actually get a few people to sign up. Felt pretty good. Get to the end of the block and see this dark trailer house. Go knock and some middle-aged lady answers the door. She asks what the hell am I doing out alone when it's dark out. Tell her what I'm doing. She invites me inside. Go in. Just her and her husband there. They were nice people and gave me some cookies. On the way out she said that a kid my age shouldn't be out past dark alone knocking on people's doors. After 16 years I finally realized how fucking stupid that was of me to be going into people's houses at night. That entire situation could have ended really bad for me, but kids are innocent and don't think of this kind of stuff. I'm very thankful they were just a normal couple and were worried about me. They probably had kids of their own. The lady that dropped me off had no idea where I was in the neighborhood and I could have easily been abducted, raped, and killed. If I ever have kids I will never let them do anything like this without my personal supervision.
Aw shit, I love telling this story. Working in far northern Alberta, area where it's literally a huge ass forest and only signs of civilization is oil, gas wells and plants. It's all muskeg in the forest area. Muskeg is scary just by itself. It's literally soft ground from decaying stuff in the forest that has grass growing on top. It can be immensely deep water, rotting plants and animals but thick enough for grass to grow and some small trees to even take root. It's Alberta's quicksand. Moose are known to venture into it and get stuck and drown. In areas like this some of the wells can only be visited by most vehicles in winter. Some are even more remote and can only be accessed by helicopter even in winter. I picked up a pretty sweet job on one of the helicopter runs doing maintenance for 2 years. I want to stress these locations are at least 300–400 kilometers away from any real civilization at this point and traveling in these areas is dangerous not only because of animals but shit like muskeg. One summer my pilot lands us down. As we land a guy exits the little shack set up on site. He looks pretty normal. Little tattered and rough, but looks like a normal human. Fairly straight cut short black hair. Bit of a 5 o'clock shadow. Iron Maiden t-shirt that is way too large. Regular blue jeans. He's going towards the tree line. Yell out to him something like hey what are you doing here? We can help you get home. He keeps going. Yell out again what the fuck man? How did you get out here? We can help you. Pilot even yells out something like we can cancel our run and get you to safety. He makes it to the tree line while we are yelling. He stops. Looks back kind of. His face kind of slips into a smile. He then runs into the trees and disappeared. No one at work believed us. Still stuck with me. Not really paranormal, but truly the weirdest thing I have ever experienced. I just want to know what he was doing out there. Everything in the shack was normal.
I was driving a shortcut from 29 Palms, CA, to Albuquerque NM. 29 Palms is located in the desolate high desert of East La. The shortcut was all two-lane road through total nothingness. Except for passing through Amboy CA. Amboy is a nearly abandoned town, nearly as far below sea level as Death Valley. With a dormant volcano and lava field on one side and a salt field on the other. It was also, at the time, a hotspot of satanic group activity. So I was driving by myself in the afternoon. I stopped in Amboy and took a picture of the city sign, just to prove I was there to friends who dared me to take that route to I-40. I got back in my car and proceeded to drive up into the mountain range between Amboy and I-40. Once I reach the top I am driving north through a canyon with high grass on both sides on the road. Up ahead I see some stuff in the middle of the road. As I approach I slow down to see a red Pontiac Fiero stopped sideways across both lanes, a suitcase open with clothes scattered everywhere and two bodies laying face down in the road, a man and a woman. I stop 100 feet or so away and the hair on the back of my neck is standing up. Being a Marine, I reach under the seat and pull out a 9mm pistol and chamber round. Something seemed very wrong, it looked too perfect as if it were staged. An ambush? Was I being paranoid? Something was just wrong. Getting out of the car would be unthinkable, it was the horror movie move. As I scanned the road I saw a line I could drive by. Past the guy in the road to his left, swerve to the right side of the women, behind the Firo, and it'd be on my way. I dropped it into first gear, punched it and drove the line I planned. I passed the back of the Firo without hitting it or either of the bodies on the road. I continued forward a couple hundred feet or so and slowed down so I could breathe and let my heart slow down. As I looked up into the rearview mirror I saw that the two bodies had gotten up to their knees and 20 or so people emerged from the tall grass on either side of the road by the cars and bodies. At that moment my right foot smashed the gas pedal to the floor and did not let up until I had to slow down for the I-40 East on-ramp. I will never know what would have happened to me had gotten out of the car to check on the bodies or stopped my car closer to them. Somehow I do not think it would have been good. Sometimes real life can be scarier than a movie.
Well, you see, we don't have much in the way of conventional jungle, but we have vast extensions of what we still call jungle thanks to its density and amount or life but is somewhat more dry. The amount of wildlife is amazing, and, I don't know how shared with regular jungles this is, there is a huge difference between daytime and nighttime jungle. During the day it's noisy as hell, you are gonna hear 1,001 different species, not only birds but also land, but during the night all this vanishes, there is as much life, sure, but not a single sound, and the problem with this is that the exact same predators are roaming, some of them big, pumas being the most feared. They are smaller than a tiger or a lion but the amount of muscle and sigil are very scary and they have become way too smart for comfort. One story I heard can be easily explained through natural reasons. To control the overall health of the puma population a decent number of them have collars to follow them when needed. These collars only give position, quite precise but no vitals or anything, but it's not hard to realize something is wrong with one from how it moves or stops moving. A particular one stops moving completely one night and a group of 3 is dispatched the next morning to at least retrieve the collar and check what happened. The animal was young and in the last checkup healthy, also the collars are expensive and they are barely funded. The group of 3 enters with the first sun rays and starts walking to the estimated position, a 5 hours walk which wouldn't be reduced by much even if they hurried since the vegetation was too dense. All 3 armed but not too heavily. Enough to scare something if really needed, which was not likely. Eventually they reach the position and find the dead animal half-eaten. They decide it was another bigger puma's work so they aren't too worried by this but still take samples from the animal in case some illness killed it and later another animal made a feast from it. The thing is that they can't find the collar, since the position was an approximation, very close one but still an approximation. They check on the system they were carrying. Probably one of their cell phones and the guy wanted to sound important. They realize then that at some point since they left that morning the collar stopped working, but its last location was where the animal stopped moving. Thinking that for whatever reason it could have broken they start checking the surroundings and decide to give it up after an hour or so without finding it, mainly because they needed to start going back all ready to leave the place before night, and thus they start walking back. After walking for a while they realize they gotten lost, weird considering they all had experience in that same area so they check the GPS. At first it doesn't work and takes a good half hour for it to come back. Somehow they had at some point turned around and gotten further from the exit even past the puma's corpse. Extremely weird, such a huge error, and this already means that they are gonna have to spend a good hour in the place at night. So they start walking back while trying to hurry. Impossible. Too dense, while keeping the GPS on and checking all the time. Like this 3 hours go by and night starts falling, still another 2 hours with some rest included to get out. They take the GPS out to check and they are still going well, but there is something strange. The lost collar's GPS is on again and an hour by foot behind them. They talk about it for a moment with the signal not moving not even a bit and decide to fuck the collar. The fact that it was closer to them than the body bothers them, but it could be a problem with the GPS and they want to get out of the place. So they keep walking, Almost an hour later they check again that they are on the right route to find that effectively they were and that the caller's signal was now at 20 or 30 minutes by walking behind them. They start getting a bit worried that someone killed the animal and took the collar, and now that someone was following them, so they try and increase their speed while keeping an eye on the GPS at all times, and effectively it was following them and get closer. Half an hour later it was on them and they were pissing themselves. They don't hear anything behind them but it's overlapping with the dot representing the GPS on the map and they don't dare to turn back while clutching their weapons. When they are finally almost out and have shitted enough bricks to erect a fortress capable of withstanding 1,000 armies, they finally start hearing sound. It starts behind them and makes a couple laps around them at full speed while being extremely noisy before completely stopping and the collar signal turning off. They got out of the place and left in the pickup they came with at a much higher speed than recommended while looking for the dot on the GPS the whole way back, which it never reappeared. Supposedly since then the signal never came back. Heard it from one of the guys from the supposed party of 3, a guy I met and made friends with while as a tourist in that region. He was the guide of the tour I took. Keep very light contact through Facebook, mostly happy birthdays and such now.
VC here. Be me. 13 or so, 6th grade. San Antonio, Texas, middle of city. There's some woods behind my house next to a field which is also next to a power plant. Woods are just there and blocked off by a fence. Me and friends go exploring in the summer. Go to woods behind our neighborhood. Exploring, having fun doing little kid shit. Start smelling something. Smells horrible. Decide to investigate because why not? Find a trail, broken branches make a sort of pathway. Eventually get to a clearing. Smell is horrible now. See tent, really expensive looking tent, it had a brand name on it. We're all scared and quiet now. Walk around tent. There's a deer cut in half, the back half is stood up with braces or sticks or something. Front half is lying on the ground a few feet away. Guts are in a pile hanging out of the back half. Hear rustling in the tent. Run the fucking away. Tell parents, get grounded, they call police about whoever was there, they find the deer but nothing else, have to file police reports and shit. Anyone have any ideas why the deer was like that? I don't want to say he was having sex with it but I can't think of any other reasons.
To pass the time a bit I got another story. B15. Riding bike with a friend in a woods. Pass a guy with a blue car, station wagon. Currently getting his dog into the trunk. Trail goes maybe a half mile straight then makes a long curve to the right. We come around the corner. Both slam our brakes. The same guy, the same car currently loading his dog into his car. WTF. We look at each other. Both say something like we drove by that scene a minute ago. Turn our bikes and ride the trail back around the curve. Guy currently drives off away from us. Turn again, going into our original direction. Car gone. Discuss maybe half an hour what the fuck happened there. Similar looking guy, with the same car doing the same thing? Some sort of time shift, wormhole or what? No. Even without any really creepy stuff or monsters, this was very unsettling. But maybe doesn't make a good story.
B from Mexico. Almost Dia de Muertos, Day of the Dead. Most spooky time of the year for me, because of the dead coming back to this world. My town has a river. Be in the river throwing rocks when I hear crying from nearby woods. Maybe a kid got lost. Decide to check out BC. I'm bored as hell. Get into woods. Very dark, so silent. Smells like rotten. Maybe a dead animal. Hear crying fainting away. Maybe that kid found its way out. Turn around. Black shadow in the woods. Looks like a woman. Starts crying. Has visto a Miss High Joe's? Have you seen my soons? Fucking hell. Get the hell out of there. Run to my house. Can hear that woman crying. A Miss High Joe's. My sons. Get to house. Lock in all the night. Never went back to river. TL, Doctor, I'm from Mexico and I had an encounter with La Llorona, the crying lady, in a woods near a river. Although being a popular legend, basically every town with a river has its own version of the legend.
Got something kinda similar, I guess. Not creepy, but a weird thing that happened to me. Me, in a bar one night. Guy walks in and sits next to me. Never seen him before. Nice guy, we talk for a while. As he gets more and more inebriated, he begins to tell me about his special relationship with God. I've never been real religious, mind you. I'm a long-time regular in the bar, plan on staying all night, so I indulge him for humor. Tells me that God talks to him, and tells him to help specific people / We get drunk and I invite him to play pool. He ends up telling me that God sent him there that night to talk to me. Now I was in a shitty place at the time, raging alcoholic, petty criminal, lived in a large nest of niggers in a studio apt. He guessed a lot of things about me that were creepily accurate, I won't repeat them. Now he was drunker than me, I had a strong tolerance at the time. Blubbers out that God sent him there that night with a picture of my face in his mind, told him to talk to me specifically. Would have laughed it off internally had he not been guessing shit about me. Backstory, I had bought a new Harley 3 years prior, it was stolen 2 years prior, and was still missing at the time. It was stolen during a short time when I didn't have insurance, so I was still paying for it. Started drinking heavily when it got stolen. Never mentioned it to him that night, just didn't come up. He told me that all I had to do was go home that night, get on my knees, and pray to God, and my life would begin to turn around. Being drunk. I guess I was more intellectually malleable, because when I got home I did it. First time in literally years. Never saw him again. Literally about 3 weeks later the cops called me at 4 a.m. and said they found my bike 3 states over. It was in good condition, considering it had been stolen for 2 years. It's sitting out front right now. Not creepypasta, but really the only weird thing that ever happened to me.
Here's the story of what happened to me recently one night in a woods. Part 1/ In a woods on some 40 acres family owns with a buddy. North Alabama, so methods all around. Hiking around all day, tired as fuck. Decide to get camp set up off trail for the night. Getting dark, hurry and set up tent. No need for a fire, too lazy, got me from buddy. Chow down on the delicious pork sausage, maple flavored. About to turn in for the night. All of a sudden hear loud ass people coming down the trail, flashlights bright as hell. Motherfuckers are trespassing. Glad we didn't camp on the trail tonight. As they get closer we hear them talking, can't make out what they're saying. Buddy and I decide to move closer. Low crawl with SKS to nearby tree to get better eyes on. Buddy has his sweet M1A eyes on, but it's so dark. Has to be the methods from down the road. 2 men, 1 woman. Fuckers know that they're not allowed on this land. We keep observing them, they build a fire, one has a shotgun. God, they brought a literal ton of shit. One appears to pull out a bag and syringes. Fucking methods. About to turn around when. Beep beep beep. Goddamn fucking walkie-talkie getting page fuck. Buddy gives me that you done goofed look. Immediately turn the fucking thing off, hope we haven't been spotted. Method racks shotgun, who the hell is out there? We stay completely still behind tree. Method, I know you're out there, yeah bitch. Method fires off a shot in our general direction. Fuck fuck fuck. Method, come on out, goddammit. Method fires another shot in our general direction. Buddy did 2 tours again. He whispers, bounding. Roger that, good buddy, fire off to their sides to scare, not kill. Tap buddy, he starts moving back. I fire 5 rounds to their left. Method, what in THA heal. Method fires shotgun several in our general direction. Other man and woman are trying to find us with their flashlights. Body in position, he fires 5 rounds to their right. I move as he does so. I fire 5 more rounds to their left, emptying my SKS. Body moves. He fires 5 rounds to their right. I move to his position. Agree, fall back to the house. 2-mile run through the woods, no sweat, know these woods like the back of my hand. Get to house, call sheriff's department. Deputies come, explain what happened. They call for backup to go find the methods. Methods are gone, their shit is everywhere. Buddy and I ain't cleaning that shit up. Deputies say they look for them. TL, doctor. I was in a fucking firefight with method.
Here's the story of what happened to me recently one night in the woods. Part 1/ In the woods on some 40 acres family owns with a buddy. North Alabama, so methods all around. Hiking around all day, tired as fuck. Decide to get camp set up off trail for tonight. Getting dark, hurry and set up tent. No need for a fire, too lazy, got me from buddy. Chow down on that delicious pork sausage, maple flavored. About to turn in for the night. All of a sudden hear loud ass people coming down the trail, flashlights be me. 13 yo. Boys. In the woods with a group of 5 people. We have to find a location we had chose before. Get lost. Fuck it. JPG. We start a fire and build a small tent. Night. Starts raining. We all get in the tent and try to sleep. 3/4 a.m. hear fucking strange noises outside. Lol nope. JPG. Keep my knife as close as possible to me. I'm tense as shit. The sound was like some hag with asthma. Sound continues for other 10-15 minutes. Eventually fall asleep. Next morning I found strange footprints on ground. Hear gunshots. And off this shit. JPEG. We pack our shit and leave.
I'll give you one, it's short but it's interesting. I was out one day walking around, looking for a place to set up camp. I was probably 1 mile into the woods away from the city. I see a tiny person, cooled and thin over 50 centimeters / 19 inches. I yell hey and that thing just ran away. I just mind my own business. Kinda frightened but I didn't care back then, I was a reckless kid. I set up camp and start cooking some food. That food had a lot of smell to it, and you could probably smell it from 20 meters away I tell you, kinda like how you smell a restaurant from a parking lot. And out of nowhere, the little creature that I saw ran away in the grass, showed up. Very peaceful, made it very clear it wasn't there to hurt me. It had long hair and was beautiful. I think it was a female. I notice how peaceful it is, so I'm not scared anymore. I give it some of my potatoes and apples and it goes away, not saying a word. I tried saying hello but no response. It had a nose that was pointing upwards and it had big cheeks. Its clothes seemed to be made from a cow and it didn't wear shoes, very hairy feet. Now 20 years later I think I might want to go back there one day to say hello again.
I've never seen them, but when I showed my pops the nosleep entry about the stairs, he damn near shit himself. He said once when he was a boy him and a girl named Sally were out about 1 mile into the woods from my old house. He said there's a nice little stream where he and Sally would go and play with my pop's old mutt. He said they would go all the time and it was fun up until they went one day and there were 4 steps of stairs directly in the middle of the stream. He thought it was odd cause they were new looking and how could they have gotten there. He said he doesn't feel different or sick or anything, other than they shouldn't mess with them. Sally ended up going up the stairs in spite of Pops saying not to. She stood there for a minute making fun of Pops until she just fainted, falling off the stairs into the stream. Pops picked her up and carried her back home and put her on the living room couch and went to call my grandma for help. She lived in the back house. When they went back into my house, Sally was gone. They called the police, everyone went looking for her, but nothing. never seen from or heard from again. Till this day, what bothers Pops the most is there's no way she walked out of the house on her own. Both of them had mud all over their shoes and she was wet from falling in the stream, but his boot prints were the only ones on the wooden floor, and no water or anything was dripping either. Like she just vanished into thin air.
I've been lurking here at /x/ for a while. Figured did finally have the guts to come and talk about the shit I saw. Green texting to shorten and make it easier to read for you crayon eaters. Be me. Hiking in local woods, not owned by anyone, kinda just there. Really pretty, I'd estimate about 100-200 acres of uninhabited rolling hills. Decide after I'm pretty deep in to do some shooting WSKS. Brought my SIG as well just to fuck with it. Food, water, eject. Small single-person tent, tarp to lay over in case of rain. Begin my trip. Fast forward about 2 hours of milling about, shooting random shit, trying to find a campsite. Find one. warm_fire.mp3. I had just went out and bought myself a TLR1HL for the SIG, and I decided I was bored of mundane shit and I was gonna go fuck around in a woods my SIG P320, M17 Stan. Fire off a few rounds. This spores me. Go back to camp, snuff fire. Pull out 1984 and begin reading from CH2. Hear weird ass almost dragging noises. Something or someone breathing real heavy up by my tent. Peek out small mesh window. Something is dragging what looks to be a deer through the woods. I open my mouth, but as fast as I open it I close it. It's bipedal, but has a snout and is much larger than any person I've ever seen. Confusion. Quickly realize what the fuck that thing is. Big ass beady yellow eyes begin scanning the campsite. At this point be fucking shitting bricks and praying to every god I can think of. I can hear a wet thump, then the sounds of some footsteps wandering away from me. No_sleep.png. Sat upright, SKS in hand, P320 next to me. Wait till about 10 AM to actually leave the tent. Still fucking scared. As soon as I exit there's this smell of if you took a dirty whorehouse and mixed it with the sewage processing plant. Cannot find where deer went. Look up. The thing fucking suspended it in a tree. Shit. Half, pick related, same model as my P320. Now I'm kinda freaking out. Weird ass multi-animal footprints, almost like a deer and a dog combined. Decide fuck it, where's this go? Context, this was an eastern PA, moved since then, and there were a lot of old and abandoned coal mines that had since collapsed or been destroyed, sealed. Follow footprints all the way through to a mine. Same sleazy shit smell as before. Look down into mine. Shine TLR into it. Empty blackness unto the end, of which it splits off in a three-way junction. Consider going down there. Oh fuck it, right? Wrong. Enter mine, and the stench gets unbearable. Fuck it, use earplugs as nose plugs, multiple pairs in case lost a pair. Get down to the junction. Left is dark, makes a sharp left and seemingly descends. Right is also dark, but instead continues around the corner on what I can assume was a minecart track at some point in time. Oh fuck it. Decide to go right. As soon as I turn the corner there's this massive fucking roar combined with howling or something like that, combined with mass amounts of fast and heavy footsteps coming up from the left descent. Decide fuck this, not sticking around to find out what this thing is. Sprint at an Olympic level out of the mine. Still hear this thing hunting me down. Grunting, panting, making weird ass noises. Gap hit somehow. Spin, fire 49 HP down at this thing. Center mass. Yelps, spins, runs back to the mine. Hoof it back to camp. Pack important shit. Book it out of the woods. Ask police to go check it out. They say they found a mine and my gear back there, but the mine had collapsed. It's been about a year. Jobs changed and I ended up being forced to move west to Arizona. Sold my prized P320 and SKS. Still refuse to go back there, and the only time I do is to come and see my folks who still live in the area. But that's it. I've got to go to work in a bit here, but if y'all would like to ask me some questions I'll be back to respond as soon as I've got the time.
Be me. Camping with buddy. Just been doing shooting drills during the day, am spending the night before we head off in the morning home. Just ate some MREs and are talking by the campfire. Hear something off in the woods, get the feeling we're being watched. Ashatichaning.gif. Grab R, shine WML into the woods, tell buddy to grab his ack. Can't see shit BC shitty old ass Surefire M300A, only about 100-ish lumens. Buddy says he doesn't see anything. No smell of blood or anything like that. Write it off as a deer, but sleep next to my gun that night.
Staying with a friend at their camp house out in Joshua Tree. We're gonna go tent out in the wash tomorrow, but tonight we will chill. Hear a sound on the mountain, must be coyotes. Sound gets closer, guess they're coming down the mountain. Every 15 minutes we hear it, by the 45 mark we realize it's not coyotes. Sitting by a small bonfire on the property, at 1 hour in it sounds clearer. It sounds like a rusty metal gate gently opening in the breeze. Look around house to the property across the street, they have no metal fencing of any kind. Gate squeak sound is extremely close, like right behind the house across the street. Grab guns, very confused, but no sound for 30 minutes. Walk the property in the dark, at 45 minutes hear the squeaky gate behind us. What the fuck, what makes that kind of sound and crosses over our property? I have no fucking clue what it was, but he heard it far past us after that one more time, then never again.
Come on /x/ give me those good creeps. I had a weird experience, probably not paranormal, last night and now I'm in the mood for some nope. My story last night. Worked third shift in rural Ohio. They send me home early because I'm coughing. Driving down a barren road that is pitch-ass black. Careful cause deer. See an animal clear in my brights. Slow way the fuck down. Notice the shine is red. Slow down even more to see what it is. Notice the eyes are sitting about 6 feet off the ground forward facing. Honk my horn, I don't wanna hit this big fucking animal. It bolts into the field I was passing. I think it was probably a rabbit deer and that's why the eyes were red, but I'm not sure. Only other option for something that tall would be a bear on its hind legs.
Plan to go on a night hike. Huge/K/fag so I brought my NVG a backpack with water GPS MRE and CC a pistol. Set out around dusk. Get about 1 mile and planned on a stealth hike to a local pond I marked on my GPS a few days earlier. Night vision fucking useless once it's actually dark, Gen 1 sucks balls, have since upgraded. Use flashlight with goggle on as it extends the range of the flashlight about 50 feet. It's spooky at night in the woods as anyone who's been out there knows. Critters sneaking through the brush as you walk through isn't nearly as unsettling as it is at night. Get to within a half mile of my intended destination. No more critters in the woods move on as I walk through. Breeze stops moving and I get random cold sweats. Say fuck it and keep going? Get within a quarter mile of the pond and see wisp-like things and dark shadows moving about in an area near the entrance of where the trail forks to the pond. Go with my gut and turn around and head back to the trailhead. Wouldn't say I ran but I did hike double time back which was about 3 miles. The entire time I heard random noises behind me, never could see anything. Get home and unpack it and haven't been back since. The pond in question was an eerie place in the daylight. It was adjacent to an old dump from I would assume as the 1950s judging by the old bottles. Also found the impressions in the ground of what used to be a house. I had some pictures of the area but can't seem to find them. I may go back this summer since I have a better nod and bigger balls. My GPS took a shit since then and I lost the coordinates to its location, but I'm fairly sure I can find it again this spring. Picture unrelated, just one of my hiking spots.
Be me and my wife, both early 20s. Decide to go to some woods in Minnesota for some fall scenery and innawoods stuff. She's from Utah and I'm from MN, and we've both been in the woods before, camping, hiking, fishing, etc. Driving up to Changwatana State Forest. On the way there, we see a Bigfoot cutout off the side of the highway. Well, now it's Bigfoot, is that even real? Have a good laugh about it, then move on to talk about other things. An hour of driving later we arrive at the entrance to the forest. Tiny unpaved dirt road leading into dense woods in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. Large fields of corn, base bean ready to harvest, and more fields already harvested. Basically Midwest as fuck, but with woods. We drive on in. Driving slowly, see tons of spent casings, shells for 9mm and 12 gauge, and slugs as well as bullets along sides of roads and lodged into trees and logs. Hear an occasional gunshot or two. Don't have a gun yet but got some knives, feels bad man. We reach the entrance of the forest and I get my knife and water/light/food/etc. As we walk in, suddenly wife gets horrible feeling or something. Not sure why, she's been camping, in the woods before. We shrug it off as maybe uncomfort from being in the car, continue on trail. Not a few steps later she's getting sudden cramps in her abdomen and has to sit down. I'm a little worried for her, nervous, and we find a spot to sit. I'm thinking we should probably head back to the car, it's still in view. She says she's hearing things, like some kind of animal. I hear nothing, laugh it off. Uh-oh, spooky, ha. She's still feeling unwell, so I decide fuck it, rather have her be okay than see some nice leaves, wildlife, head back to the car. As we're walking back we hear some kind of weird sound nearby, in the distance, have no idea how far away it is. Sounded like a mix between a loud stomp or thunk and an animal roar. Never heard of that in my life. Maybe it's a shotgun or some other gun, I say. We heard shotguns, rifles on the way in, it did not sound like that at all, too animalistic. Immediately after the weird animal thump noise we hear a volley of gunshots, actual shotguns, rifles, and they sound completely different from the noise. Sounded like a firing squad, many shots overlapping. We get back to the car, I'm about to get in before I realize I gotta piss. Figured I'll do it deeper in the woods so some hunter doesn't see me. Head into woods again real quick when wife tells me to piss right behind the car. Who knows what's in there, agree and piss there real quick. As I'm doing my business I hear something coming from the direction I was going to go originally. Low, deep guttural animal growl or moan and nothing else, no snapping of twigs, movement, trees shaking, etc. Eerily quiet after that, no birds or even leaves. First thought was a bear, but bear does not sound like that, had an almost human quality, but no person has a voice that low. WTF.jpg. Ask wife, did you hear that? Did that sound like a growl to you? She confirms, tells me that was the exact noise she was hearing when we were in the woods. She heard it 5 times and I didn't hear it at all until I was pissing. Apparently she got physically uncomfortable and then heard the noises. We get in the car and drive off. As we're leaving see several pickup trucks with guys heading to where we just were, where we heard the thump, boom and the volley of gunshots. Look up weird animals in the county. Turns out that area is known for occasional Bigfoot sightings, like 1 or 2 a year. Anyone else have a similar experience or know about stuff in this neck of the woods? Also general spooky green text thread.
Be me. Camping about a month ago in the Sierra Nevadas. With 2 friends, one of their dads, and his 2 dogs. First night all good, one dog sleeps the entire time, but the other always stays awake all night when we camp. Girl.pet. His dad leaves after the first night. Takes quiet dog, leaves us with the loud one. Bears on suicide watch. Middle of the night. Wake up. Silence.mp3. Hey Anon, come look at the moon. It's really pretty. Lowent. My friend's voice, outside the tent, around 2 to 3 a.m., and how did he know I'm awake? Remain silent. Anon, really? Come outside. The moon looks beautiful. B space fag, no moon ain't outside RN. Chills.wav. Look next to me. Both friends still in tent next to me in sleeping bags. Freeze up. Dog runs over and starts going ballistic. Initiate bipedal sprinting away from the tent. Friend wakes up, brings a dog in tent. Try and sleep. I camp quite a bit, but no idea WTF that was. Sounded exactly like my friend. Thoughts?
Been a while since a good in the woods thread. I'll start. Always been a skeptic, but this shit was weird. You know how it goes. Be me, couple of years ago. Fresh out of high school, decide to go camping with some buddies. Couple guys I used to go to church with and one HS friend. All experienced backpackers, so decide for winter camping trip. Set up for night off the trail. Weird sense of unease while trying to sleep. Next day brothers are irritable because they couldn't sleep all night. Chalk it up to the cold or some shit. Next day hike a few more miles in, set up camp again. Night 2, shit gets weirder. Hear what sounds like people talking in low voices in the woods around us. No branches snapping, footsteps, etc. Just the sort of dull rumble of people in the background talking, but not distinct enough to be sure. Snow is starting to pick up, so thought it might be that. Wind is howling too. Buddy nudges me. Hey dude, something's kinda weird. You notice the wind is fucking screaming but the tent isn't moving? Shit, that is weird. Look outside. Everything is still. Trees aren't moving, air feels cold but still. Sound of wind howling is still there. What fuck. Flag. Feel pretty creeped out. Convince myself I'm hearing the wind above the trees, like the jet stream or something. Doesn't make an ounce of sense, but sanity equals preserved. Get fucked forest spirits, I need sleep. Next day hike even deeper. Friends agreed something was up, but paradoxically we all agreed to venture deeper in the woods, as if this would help. It didn't. Night 3. Forest is silent once more. Snow really coming down now, no wind, real or fake. Around maybe midnight to 2 a.m. hear strange noise. Sounded like someone yelling, but really far away. But really close, if that makes sense. Like the sound of someone yelling far away being played up close on the highest fidelity speaker possible. Okay, the forest spirits are winning in that I am shitting my pants at this point. Nudge buddy, ask if he hears just so I know I'm not crazy. He heard it too. Noise happens again, same place. Buddy convinces me to get out and investigate. I am gripped with fear but simultaneously riding an incredible adrenaline high and go for it. Get out of tent, immediately want to get back in tent. There's a fresh set of tracks going straight through the camp. Tracks begin a little past edge of camp, go past our tents and past the opposite edge before ending. As if whatever made them was plopped down, walked a bit then lifted off. Get very bad feeling in pit of stomach, wake everyone up. Everyone is quiet but obviously frightened. No one can sleep rest of the night. Hike out next day, strange feeling persists until we get on main freeway home. Forget about it for a couple of years, remember randomly other day. Not sure what happened out there. Nothing like I've ever experienced, but it kinda felt like something didn't want us there, if that makes sense.
It wasn't really in the woods but on the edge of some large brush. When I was like 7 I was at this park with this older kid who was probably like 10. Let's call him Billy. We were like 40 feet away from the park where all the parents and other kids were. Where we were was like a short cement path that led to a pool. On the right of this path was a huge forested area that led to other large forested areas and under some large power lines. So we were right on the edge of the far side of the power lines with the park on the other side of the power lines. Just then we directly saw what seemed to be some gray alien walking on all four. It just looked at me and Billy and leaped into that small forested area. Me and Billy ran up to it and it started yelling "Stay away" and was like screeching. Billy told me to run and get the parents, and initially I was hesitate, but he basically scolded me until I did. The parents were hesitate to come over at first but saw how distressed I was. When they got there they all seemed pretty shocked to see what was in the bushes. It was just something hunched over screeching. Then it vanished behind some tree and we never saw it again. Billy seemed shook and the parents were all very worried for him because something was obviously wrong with him. After that we all went home because it was very late. I had no family at the park with me that night because it was in that era where you could just let your kids roam around and have the other parents in the neighborhood you knew take care of them. I think I told my mom and she never believed me, and when she asked the other parents what I was talking about they just acted like nothing happened. I chopped this whole incident up to being less than a half mile from Nest. I think they opened a portal and something came out.
Wasn't camping, but was far into the woods on a back lake. Chilling in the back lakes of northern Midwest, pretty much Canadian border. Me and my brother are in a small metal skiff fishing. I hear a faint bell, but there are other people generally around so I pass it off. When it's time to go my brother starts rowing but begins to freak out. I ask him what's up and he says that despite rowing we aren't going anywhere. I pass him off. But then I hear the bell again and it's louder. We keep trying at the oars for 3 minutes before we finally begin moving. It's been 2 years since then. Sorry if it's a letdown, we didn't see dick or nuts, just heard some creepy shit.
Me. Visiting my grandmother somewhere in the Ozark Mountains. Fuck it, time to go in woods. Dead hour. Full moon. Major spooks. Grab my .22 and start walking. About a mile hike to the pond where me and Grandpa used to fish. Since Grandpa died the woods have been pretty much abandoned, made getting to the pond a lot harder than it used to be. About halfway down I notice how quiet the woods are for it being a full moon. If there's one thing I've learned from my grandpa and dad, it's that when the woods are quiet there's an apex predator in the immediate area and it's not you. Decide not to turn around like a dumbass. Eventually get to the pond. Much lower than it used to be. Sit on the rock we used to fish off of and remember the stories I used to hear. Wolves, ghosts, bears, skinwalkers, rabid meth heads. Just then hear a fucking blood-curdling scream from the other side of the pond. Pond can't be longer than 30 yards. Sounded like a woman is being flayed by a hot knife. Fuck this, mag dump in the general direction. Hear a gurgling sound followed by scampering into the woods. Sprint through the woods back to Grandma's house. Legs torn apart by briars and downed branches, legs are covered in my own blood. Grandma tells me about the mountain lions being far more active than usual. Thanks for telling me after I came back. Not allowed to go outside for the next day since they might have caught the scent of my blood. It's scary as fuck to think about a fucking mountain lion stalking me all the way down to the pond. Found a video that sounded almost exactly like what I heard.
I'll humor you all. 7 years old. Went camping with a tent foster family. Can't remember where, but it was a 3 hours drive there. Most of the day was alright, kinda bored, spent a lot of time gathering wood for a fire and prep in general. Foster father brought fishing equipment and I was fascinated. Discovered it was boring. Was thinking about playing Sims instead, thought about Zelda. Well shit, I can play Link Crawl. Decided to walk around and check things out, ignoring dad's warnings. Cause fuck this camping sucks and I miss my real parents. Fucked around with some trees and I heard fast flowing water so I decided to check it out. blown away by the noise and force of the river here. I got closer to the water cause stupid kid and curiosity. Rocks are slippery when wet for future reference. May. Found a calm pool of water and saw something shiny I wanted to grab. It looked like gold. Dumb kid but still knew it could be big money. Fuck ye Morson's games. Looked up for a second and saw a young woman looking at me about 1.5 meters out. Probably just swimming. Ignored her and tried to reach into this pool to grab this gold shit and got dragged right in. I swore she grabbed my hand and pulled me in. I freaked, my head went under and I got swept away. Caught myself a few seconds later and foster dad heard me screaming, found me clinging to a rock or tree. He dragged me out and I got tripped on for a few. Didn't believe I saw gold or the girl but I'm sure I did. Had nightmares that night she was chasing me, walking around the RV, and begging me to go back to the river. Next morning we left cause I ruined the trip. I was happy to leave. Fuck rivers.
House is in middle of nowhere. 20-minute drive into town, nearest neighbor is a mile down the road. Last house on the road, only thing beyond it is a guy's hunting lease that he only visits during deer season. Fiancé is blind and has super sensitive hearing. Sitting at home, getting ready to cook dinner, she's reading a braille book she checked out of the library. Dog sits up and stares at the back door, starts whining. Probably a raccoon or possum. Dog leaps up to its feet and races to the back door, snarling and barking. Fiancé sits up and says, "What's that noise?" I don't hear anything but the dog is going nuts. Dog runs to side window, still barking and snarling. Follows the mysterious whatever it is to the front window. Dog suddenly yelps and retreats to the foot of the couch. Fiancé whips her head around like she's listening to something flying in circles around her and gets a pained look on her face. What is that? Covers her ears and whimpers. Dog growls and has his teeth bared, shaking violently and staring at the front window. Start to feel a migraine coming on. Fiancé is freaking out. Fuck this. Grab AR-15, hit the switch that turns on the floodlights all around the house, and check out the window. See nothing. Fiancé is crying and covering her ears. Open front door. Still see nothing. Sick dog. Dog sprints out the door snarling, hits the lawn and starts spinning in circles barking. Don't see or hear anything. Migraine getting worse. Call dog back inside. Fire a shot into the dirt at the edge of the woods. Migraine instantly disappears. Fiancé puts down her hands and tilts her head like she is listening. It's gone. Dog is suddenly chill, legs shaking like it ran a marathon but otherwise calm. Close door. What the hell was that? I don't know, some high-pitched noise. It sounded like it was circling the house. Tempted to nope but stay macho for her sake. Whatever it was, I scared it off. 6 months later, nothing.
Go to the woods. All black. It's 3 a.m. See nothing. Hear nothing. Back to 4chan and ask other anons about it in the woods stories.